Hello, my name is Flutus Poston, and today we'll be diving into the powerful decision-making framework that has proven invaluable inside of cybersecurity, the OODA loop. It was originally developed by military strategist John Boyd. The OODA loop helps improve decision-making and responsiveness in complex, high-stake environments, such as incident response and incident management. Let's explore today how this model has and will enhance security practices. The OODA loop consists of 4 iterative phases: observe, orient, decide, and act. Each phase represents a critical step in responding to evolving threats and staying ahead of the attackers. By integrating this model into cybersecurity, we can enhance incident response, threat intelligence, and overall resilience. So let's break down each of these step by step, starting with observe, and then orient, then decide, and act. First, we observe. This phase is all about gathering relevant data and using various tools and techniques. For instance, network traffic analysis. This will help us identify any unusual patterns and/or anomalies. So to do this, we have to baseline the environment prior to being able to identify unusual patterns and anomalies. So Flutus, how do we do this? First, you have to understand the log collection. What logs are you collecting and what format are they coming in? What is a standard log ingestion for you? As you understand your log collection, you'll be able to provide insights into the system events that are normal and abnormal. Next, we have our threat intelligence feed. This keeps us informed about the emerging vulnerabilities. These can come in the form of a Styx taxi, IOCs and TTPs from third parties, or these could be intel feeds that you curate yourself internally with your cyber threat intelligence teams. And finally, we have our vulnerability scans. This ensures that we identify weaknesses before the attackers exploit them. You can get these from your Tenable, your Nmaps, your Qualys, and other scanning tools. So in short, the observation phase is where we cast our net wide to collect as much information as possible. Once we gather the data, we move into the orient phase. This is where we analyze and contextualize it. Key activities here include data correlation, which combines insights from multiple sources to create a holistic view. Then we have pattern recognition. This will help us identify trends and the reoccurring threats to predict what might come next. Next, we have our impact analysis or assessment. This is where we evaluate the potential consequences of these threats. So during this phase, we as the incident response or incident management team are taking time to analyze what is happening in our environment through data correlation, through pattern matching, and now determining what will the impact be to our organization. This phase ensures we have a full understanding of the threat landscape before we take action. Next, decide. This phase involves carefully planning to respond effectively. Several of the key steps include prioritizing the threats based on their impact and likelihood, selecting countermeasures to mitigate these risks, while coordinating efforts across teams and stakeholders, thus allocating resources such as assigning the right personnel and tools to address the situation. Here, our goal is to formulate a clear and actionable plan. At this point, you're likely engaging law enforcement, your vendors, and your internal stakeholders such as your incident commander. You're likely engaging your leadership team and/or legal on next steps. Finally, we act. This is where the decisions are to be executed. We deploy the countermeasures, such as applying patches or adjusting security controls. This could be taking a system offline to patch it. This could be taking snapshots. This could be implementing multi-factor or resetting passwords. IR kicks in at this phase too. This involves containing and mitigating these active threats. You'll want to do this diligently, taking time to understand the impact of each action before you do it. And do you have the rights to contain the VP's workstation or to take a SQL database offline in the effort to mitigate the active threat, while documenting all of the actions for accountability and learning? At this phase, you likely need to dedicate a dedicated individual to be documenting all of your findings. Why is this important? If it's not uniform and consistent, your documentation can easily have sprawl, or your timeline can get out of whack, and you won't be able to reproduce the events in case of a chain of custody, or when you're asked to produce at what time was this found, on what system, etc. Thus, continuing monitoring to ensure that the environment remains secure while detecting any new threats. This phase closes the loop, but it also feeds back into observation, creating a continuous improvement cycle. So why should we use the OODA loop inside of cybersecurity? First, it enables faster responses. This reduces the time between threat detection and mitigations. For example, an end user comes into the office on Monday morning and notices their computer is slow or that their cursor is moving, and they report it to the help desk and or the security operations center. You're able to respond quicker because of the observation. Additionally, we're able to orient ourselves through situational awareness of what our organization faces, what the threat landscape is for our organization. Additionally, we're able to make better decisions based on the comprehensive analysis that we've been able to perform through the OODA loop process. Thus, it fosters collaboration across our security team and stakeholders, allowing us to work as a cohesive unit. The better we collaborate and communicate with the line of businesses, our third-party vendors, our partners such as federal agencies and law enforcement, the better we are able to respond and mitigate risks to our organization. To implement the OODA loop effectively, we need to consider the following best practices. First one is automate observation using AI and machine learning to streamline data collection. For those who have been in the field, manual tasks are not always repeatable. They're very time-consuming and easy and prone to errors. Next, we need to provide continuous training to keep our teams updated on the latest threats and techniques. This could be formal training, such as going to a conference or a training class off-site. This could be through capture the flag events or adversary simulation, which leads us into conducting regular drills, which allows us to practice rapid decision-making and execution under simulated conditions. This is a great time to enable this process inside of your tabletop exercises. When you run your quarterly, semi-annual, or annual tabletops, follow this process to see how your help desk escalates to your security operations center, how long it takes your security operations center to declare or engage your incident response team, and then track those into a lessons learned by establishing a feedback loop. This incorporates all the lessons learned and helps you refine your processes continuously. It's important that we document our findings, that we evaluate the lessons learned from every event that happens. Every event has the ability to be a learning exercise. By adopting these practices, organizations can fully leverage the OODA loop inside of cybersecurity. To sum it up, the OODA loop is a dynamic framework that empowers organizations to stay ahead of cyber threats by observing, orienting, deciding, and acting. We can build faster, more effective responses and continuous improvement within our defenses. As we reflect back on the OODA loop, it's important to understand that we need to be fast but effective. We, as the blue team or the defensive team, are trying to stay one step ahead of our adversary, who are likely using similar techniques to try to breach our environment, trick our users, or gain sensitive information about our organization. I appreciate your time today. Thank you for tuning in. Happy to answer any questions. Please comment and like and subscribe.